Alright, Rick Wall came back again. Had to have a bit of a change of location. Had some unforeseen construction work on the house done. But it's not going to stop me from ploughing ahead my doctoral reviews, because here we are, Kill the Moon, Series 8, Episode 7. Now, according to all the text I've read before and all the spoilery stuff that I try to avoid, talk is this is going to be a fan favourite episode. Doesn't mean it's going to be one of my favourites, but talk is it's going to be a fan favourite. So, let's dive in and find out what we think. Okay, well, we start off with the Doctor and Clara arguing because the Doctor told Courtney she wasn't special, which leads him to whisking them off for an adventure. I get how I feel about that when I talk about the characters individually. But as a plot conceit, I have no problem with it. It works nicely to get us into the main adventure, get us to 2049 and the moon. So yeah, I'm okay with that. But once we get to the moon, we've got the main plot proper, which to me is essentially a rehash of The Beast Below. Series 5, Episode 2, if I remember rightly. Back when Minnie Matt Smith was full size and running the show. It's a good episode. It's not a bad episode to be compared to, but it is pretty similar. In fact, very similar in places. Right down to the choice. But, yeah. On top of that, we do get the spider creature things, which look very cool. I can see them giving nightmares to kids. So yeah, I liked them. Didn't really serve much purpose in the plot. There was more there just for monsterness. But they were good enough. And I liked the Doctor disappearing about halfway through, leaving the choice to the humans. I thought that was a really good touch. So yeah, there's a lot that I liked in it. It may have felt like a retread at times, but there was a lot in it that I liked. And so I can't complain. And the fact that the humans voted to kill the creature. Now, I'm in two minds about that. The first mind, of course, speaking as a writer-creator type, that felt right. That was good. I'd have written it like that. Speaking as, an old-fashioned lefty who likes to believe in people being universally good at their core, I was disappointed in them. And it was much more realistic that they voted that way, and I'm glad they did. I'd be complaining now if they didn't. But it is slightly disheartening. Well, hey, it's a good disheartening. I'm not complaining about that, really. That's just a personal thing where I'm moaning about humans being like that. In terms of the plotting, that was good. The fact that I'm moaning is a good thing. So, yeah, some of the revelations, like, the moon being an egg, they seemed a bit not very sciencey. But for the conceit of the show, I'm happy to go with it, and it was fun. So yeah, I'm happy with the plot overall. So I can't complain. I'll move on to the character. Well, I thought it was a really good performance by Peter Capaldi again. He's actually really hitting it each time as the Doctor for me. It's the mix, the full range that he's showing. I mean, he can be funny and, do things with the yo-yo and that sort of thing that just seem so eccentric, kooky, whatever you want to call it. And I am still amused by him, not really getting appearances and thinking Courtney was 35. That sort of thing. I thought they really nice touches. And of course, he was as grumpy as ever. That's kind of becoming his key character trait, I'd say. Which I really think works nicely. I like a hero who's only being the hero because it's what he does. Not because he's, the bold and heroic. Yes! Yeah, the Doctor doesn't do that now. And that's good. I love the grumpy hero, as I've said in other reviews before. And his excitement about the discovery and how beautiful the creature is. That was so delightful. And as I said in the plot section, I liked him wandering off. When he, said it's not his decision to make. It's too important for him to make the decision for them. And that was, I thought, really good. And as he said later, it was a sign of respect. I liked that. Clara might not have, but I really did. Now, all the time he's on screen, he's in command, which is how he should be as the Doctor. And something we haven't been seeing at the start of this series. So it's good that the last, 3, 4 episodes he's actually managed to do that. Thumbs up on that point. Also, I think it's nice that he was talking about, the grey areas. That's sort of like the opposite of the fixed points. And as a concept, I like that. Probably should have mentioned that in the plotting rather than the Doctor's character. But the Doctor made a big deal of it, so I think I'd mention it here. Same as when he's talking about them regenerations. Now that's just going to fuel the speculation on the fans, isn't it? That was a bit naughty of you, Mr. Moffat. Good naughty this time, though. I've been giving you a hard time lately. You nailed the Doctor in this, so I'm not giving you a hard time on that. I won't give you a hard time on that at all, because, hey, it builds more fan speculation. I'm not complaining there. So yeah, Doctor spot on for me in this one. Well impressed. I know you're probably expecting me to give Clara a real hard time again in this. I've really been down on her lately. And it's not been Jenna Coleman's fault. The performances have always been spot on. It's what they've got the character to do that I've had issue with. And some of that came up again today. I mean, as soon as the Doctor was out of the picture, she became the main character. She became our central focus. She was playing the hero again. And we know how much that annoys me when she's doing that. And in this one, she nailed it. She actually it really worked in this. Once the Doctor was gone, he left her there. He empowered her to do that. So it was okay. He shared the story with her. So I have no problem with that this time. Especially when she did it. She actually was really good at it. She really came across as caring and, being really brave. Mostly because of how she was playing with Courtney. She actually became the Doctor figure to her, which was really good. And she showed so much concern, showed how much she cared. So yeah, I actually really liked that. Oh yeah. And then there was that last scene. Well, the last scene on the TARDIS. That was awesome. I'm sorry, but that was awesome. The way she just stormed out, and her indignation, her seemingly righteous indignation. I can't say she was wrong. I don't agree with her, but I can't say she was wrong. And when she told the Doctor not to come back, it was just awesome. That would be my favourite companion leaving ever. Except, this is where the problem lies. We know that's not the end. She's not gone. She's coming back. She'll probably be back next week. And that was such a good speech. That was such a great moment for her character. It would have been an awesome send-off for her. And it won't be. That should have been her last moment. I don't mind if it was going to come later. But no. It spoilt itself by the fact that we know she's not leaving yet. She might be leaving at the end of the series. There's still speculation there. I don't know. I don't want to know yet. But we know she's going to be in it again this series. She's in it for the rest of the series. So, really spoilt the end for me with that. it was so close to perfection. And then they went and ruined it. Again, Clara's not being served by the writers as well as she should be. But, hey, the whole show was really good to her. Till that. So, make of that what you will. At least there's some positives were taken there. And the thing that spoilt it wasn't the writing and her performance. It was the placement of it. And the fact that it should be so meaningful. And it won't be. I'll admit it. When I saw Courtney Woods as the character, my heart sank. This was meant to be a fan favourite episode. We've got hair in it. I hated her last week. Thought she was so annoying. And she had a lot of that still this week. Though, I will say, certain bits of it really worked. I really enjoyed certain parts of it. I thought she asked some good questions. She did the whole question asking part of the companion better than Amy, better than Clara. So that I thought worked. And it's so good to hear a companion scream again. Just for the sake of she's seen something scary. There is nothing unempowering about screaming when you see something scary. And these brave, strong women that we get nowadays don't get to do that. It adds to the atmosphere. It doesn't make them a weaker character. It doesn't affect character development at all. But we don't get it much. So it was good to actually have that with Clara. I actually really like the idea of using psychic paper as fake ID. It's a fun idea, because that's essentially all the Doctor uses it for. But how she got it? Why is she given the chance to actually hang on to that? My God, was her angsting about not being special annoying. Tell you what though, the way she cared when we found out the creature was inside, and that really was a nice humanising thing with her. Made us actually care about the character more and root for her. I approved of that. But most of the time, she came across a lot like Adric, frankly. 4th and 5th Doctor companion Adric. And that, generally in the fandom, is not a good comparison. He is... No, not a good person to be compared to. I think she did well. She's improved herself a lot, but I really hope we don't see her again. This was a good outing for her. Let's leave it at that. Right, I know I've called this section other characters, but essentially we all know that there's essentially only one who gets much to talk about, Lundvik. I don't know, did we even hear her name in that? But aside from her, right, who else is in the supporting cast? There's two shipmates who, do they even speak 3 lines between them? And they're pretty much just there to be killed off. So there's not much to say about them. We actually learnt more about one of them after he was dead than his entire screen time. So let's not bother with that. Move on to her. There wasn't even that much to her. She wasn't likeable. She was really not likeable. Especially with her obsession with killing the creature in there. Now I know we were meant to think that she'd lost all hope, and by the end the hope was restored. And that's all well and good, but I really hope we don't see her again, because she was really not likeable. And her coldness was fitting. I'll give her that part was fitting. But she sort of drained energy every time she was on screen for me, which a character shouldn't. The only other one to talk about, of course, is Danny, who was very briefly in it, but played an important part. He instantly knew she'd been pushed too far. Clara had been pushed too far, which, hey, that's a good thing. And we got to, a few more hints of him leaving the army and being a big story there. I actually cared more with that 2 minutes than I did the entire time he's been in it before. Which, I don't know, is that a good thing or a bad thing? That he could give so much in such a little bit. I've got to say as well, I've heard a lot of fan speculation about how manipulative Dan is being with her. How controlling and all these other bad things. How he might turn out to be a bad thing. I could really see that in this one. I really hope he does, because that would be interesting. So, yeah. It was a good episode for Danny. Mostly because we hardly saw him. Which, hey, that says a lot about his character, doesn't it? I must say, overall, I enjoyed the episode. Taken for itself, it's actually pretty good. Okay, there was many aspects I didn't like about it. But for every one I didn't like, there was one I really did like. So, horses for courses, swings and roundabouts, many other old cliches like that. The characters weren't perfect, but the main character gave a tour de force, and a lot of the problems I've had with Clara worked this time. So overall, it was good. I did enjoy it. It's not going to be one I'm going to come back to often, but yeah, for a retread of another story, it had its own identity, and it had a nice mix of things going on. And it had a really awesome companion leaving scene. Even if it was a bait and switch and she's back next week, as we expect, making that whole thing worthless, it in and of itself was awesome. And I really hope she isn't back. Not just because I don't care for Clara, but because that was such a good send-off. And it'll leave such a good taste in the mouth of her being gone. That's the way a companion can leave. But, as I've complained earlier, she'll be back, making the whole thing pointless. It's a bit of a problem when the best scene in the whole thing is rendered pointless. But at least it was there. So that's okay. I'd call this an 8 out of 10 episode. Okay, it had some really major flaws, but throughout, the good really outweighed the bad, and there was plenty to rave about in this story. Yeah, okay, it's a retread in places, but it's a good retread, done well. So I'm not holding that too much against it. Yeah, I enjoyed it, and we'll come back to this episode again and again. Not my favourite in the series. Already got 2 episodes that I've liked more than that this series. But it's a long way from a bad story and well worth checking out. Our next week looks an interesting one. Mummy on the Orient Express. Yeah, sign me up. Just read a book called Murder on the Orient Expresso. Of course I'm going to be up for this one. Until then, see you.